Welcome back to My Comic Life, where I have another edition of Too Many Comics. This is the second week of me trying to play catch up with my comic book reading. I am sadly, I think, around 10 issues behind, or 10 weeks behind. So, it's really, I need to catch up, and this is my best way possible, and also talk about some books that I've read and voice my opinions on them. Luckily for me, is that I try to focus more on the independent side. So with me having a whole bunch of comics, it won't be like talking about Marvel and DC where you need to talk about them in the now, because you need to be most on top of it, because that's what your viewership could expect. And with independence, I'm mostly going for trying to tell you guys what is really good out there and to go and try to find either at your local comic shop, even though it'll be quite hard, or going on Comixology and picking these issues up. So I am going to go from my least favorite book of the week, and these are all books that came out March 13th, and I have 17 books, and I'll go from my least favorite to my most favorite, in the vein of Sleeper Reader 666 when he does his. I really like that. I think it really structures everything quite well. And my least favorite book was LaGuardia, issue number 4 of 4. This is the final issue, and I have to say that the Burger book line has been one of my favorite lines in comics. Every single thing that they seem to do is so unique, and they have such their own voice. And they allow the writers to do whatever they want. And it has shown with quality. LaGuardia has been a book that the quality is there, but I don't think the execution was as well done as what the writer expected with his final issue. So the storyline has been throughout the whole entire series is that literal aliens have come to come to our world. And there are certain the United States, Africa, all these different places. Some of them don't want these alien species in their territories. LaGuardia is a airport per se that all these aliens come and get their green cards to go and do whatever they want on Earth. And the story it focuses a lot on that when integrating into a new society. And I like how this book doesn't make the white man evil. All this book really takes place with our two main characters, and they all have very literal names. Like our main character right here, her name is Future, and her husband, I forget what his literal name is, but every single thing in this book takes literal, like with the names and everything like that. And this book tries to wrap its whole entire story up, and it kind of is a mess. It's such a mess that it's kind of hard to explain without telling you about the whole entire each and every issue, because the last issue left on this whole entire thing where Future is having a baby, and we found out that the DNA of this plant, there's like literal aliens that are plant based. They went and put the plant's DNA into, and it mixed with her DNA, and out comes this baby who is basically half plant alien and half human. And the book seems like after issue 3, like it was really strong, but issue number 4 just kind of just falls to pieces. It literally is like spelling everything out to you, and I think that really quite hurt the book as a whole. I would say if you are intrigued and read something that's quite different than the regular superhero fare, and that focuses a lot more on race and getting into a new environment and how you can feel like an outsider, this book is quite good at that front. But I think that the execution with this final issue was not as strong as what this writer was intending. Now on to a new number 1. Transformers, issue number 1. IDW has decided to go and take their whole entire Transformers lines and start anew. This book or this is like my first ever comic of the Transformers. I watched the films, I've watched the cartoons, but never have read a comic of the Transformers. So I was really intrigued to see how it would feel going into it. And I have to say, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of things it feels like I am missing, especially with new characters that come into, or new characters to me that come into play. But all of it is set with our main character of, I think his name is Rubble. And he is brand new to the world of Cybertron. And all the things that are happening are basically through his eyes. He is the eyes of the reader. And he's going through, and you see him and Bumblebee taking a walk to this place where he can kind of decide what kind of Transformer he wants to be, what does he want to transform into. I think that's what he's trying to do. And they're going, and they're just walking there, and you see Rubble go up to the mountaintop and see the Cybertron city and be in awe of it. And I wish that the art was a little bit stronger here. The thing with the art is that, and especially with the world that everything is very robotic. Because I do understand that the world of Cybertron is very robotic, but I don't know. It kind of just takes away from the art at times. But I did enjoy the moments with Megatron and Orion, where when they have interactions with each other, I was like, oh man, this is what I wanted out of the comic. I didn't want to follow all these new people, but a lot of the comic is not on Megatron or Orion. Most of the book is on our new characters, and this issue tries to set up the power struggle between two different factions in Cybertron, and we don't have the Autobots yet, but it all seems like it's going to build up to that point. But at this very moment, it's okay. It's okay. I definitely will give this book a couple more issues. I have up to this point issue number 6, and I think I read that the first volume is actually going to be 12 issues long. So I'm probably going to give this series 12 issues, and good thing is it comes out twice a week, so I don't got long until I can finally say, do I want to keep this book on my pull list, or do I just want to get rid of it? But overall, I would give Transformers issue number 1 a 4 out of 10. It was an okay, but nothing amazing. And also, there was a 4 out of 10 for LaGuardia. Now on to another new number 1 by Image Comics, Assassin Nation. This is written by Kyle Starks, who is the guy who wrote the latest Mars Attacks series, which I loved. I loved his Mars Attacks. So I was really, really hopeful for this series. And did it deliver? There's a lot to it. There's a lot of things at play. One of our guys has got a contract trying to find out who's trying to murder him, and he has all these assassins in one room, and you get to just meet all these different assassins, and all hell will eventually break out, which you assume it will. But the thing is that the art in here I just thought was not strong at all. It really kind of took away from some of the interesting characters. Now, on the other hand, the coloring, I felt like it really, really did work. But the artwork as a whole, each and every page, I was just like, I don't know. It's not my favorite, or it's not my cup of tea at most. But all the assassins seem to have a unique voice to them, which is quite good, because a lot of times with you have too many characters, some of them could start to sound the same, but in this issue you definitely don't get that here. I just wish that the art was stronger, and I don't know where the story's going to go from here, but I'm definitely willing, especially after Kyle Starks. I really enjoyed his take on Mars Attacks and the family, the father son aspect to it. So he is a writer who definitely has a strong act for characters, And you do get the sense of that here. And there is this one really awesome moment where you get to find out the number one assassin, and he's very cocky. And he gets his ass handed to him, and it was really intriguing, but I really wanted to see more of this character just because of how cocky he was, and it really fit for the tone of the book as a whole. But overall, the art just really suffered for me, so I'm going to give Assassination a 4 out of 10. Now on to another new number one, Calamity Kate by Dark Horse Comics. Dark Horse Comics, as I said, they've been doing a great job with their burger line. But their main line, especially this, I don't know. Calamity Kate it takes place in a world where monsters exist. And our girl Calamity, or our girl Kate, she has gone through hell. She's lost a lot of people that she loves, and she just got out of a big relationship, and she just wants to wreak havoc to the world, and so she does it by killing these big, huge monsters. Eventually, the monsters. Eventually, she makes her way to LA, where she meets up with an old-time friend who she has had no contact with for many years, but she barges into the house, and her friend takes her in to live at their house until she get her life basically together for a limited time. Well, she keeps on killing all these monsters, and she just wreaking havoc in this house. Like it's definitely is a person that you just don't want as a roommate. And I did not like the character Calamity Kate. The artwork was okay. Like, these early books that I read, I was just like, I want a little bit more. The character I felt was unlikable. And I'm going to find out if this is a mini-series. If so, I think I'm about 3 issues in. I might just drop it if it's an ongoing. But Dark Horse usually doesn't do that. Dark Horse usually puts out a new book that is usually 3 to 4 issues long, especially in their creator-owned category. So I probably gonna finish it out, see if the character kind of grows on me. But the first issue just really did not hit at all for me. Some of the fight scenes were interesting to look at, but overall it is a 4 out of 10. And 4 out of 10 are not bad. Like, they're not horrible. A lot of times we as reviewers, we review and we give a score, and everything's expected to be a 10 out of 10. But really, sometimes it's just like the book is not as strong as it should be. So 4 out of 10. And I hate putting numbers, but it really drives home, how good. Giving a final score, sometimes it's better than not. And Agatha's Home for Wayward Rabbits, issue number 5 of 6. This series has been amazing up until the last couple issues. The story is that Auntie Agatha has a home for, as it says, wayward rabbits, and she's taking in all these rabbits, and they all have such great personalities, and they can all speak English and whatnot. And so the daughter, or the nephew, or the niece of Agatha is basically the one who's running the whole entire Home for Wayward Rabbits. And a third party has come in and bought all the properties around Aunt Agatha's home, and this is the final home, and they want her out so that they can then go and make a cliched thing, but their golf course. And we have all these different characters, and the rabbits themselves have such a unique characters, and up until this point, that uniqueness was just so good. But this issue, I don't know. I think the heaviness of the subject matter is really weighing on the characters, and so that their humor is not there, because they are basically about ready to fight for their life. And we have our one main rabbit right here who is trying to get all the other rabbits to basically get ready for battle, and it doesn't work out. I thought that the issue focused so much on this one rabbit trying to get everyone else involved and ready to fight the good fight, it really weighed down on the comic. And then the comic goes into something that's really strange. And a lot of times at night, when there's like a night situation, there's a lot of brightness to it. But in this, it goes super dark. Like where it's hard to tell the detail that's really in there. And it just doesn't work at all. I think up until that point, I was just like, whoa, okay, this is something that's very unappealing. But the writing is solid in this issue. I just wish that the humor could have been brought up a little bit more, because the first couple issues were so good with the humor, but then it seems like with the last two, the humor has gone, and so has the hope for the series as a whole. Hopefully with the final issue, everything could feel like it's then on upwards, because I really don't know. It feels like that there's more to the story than just one final issue. So I'm going to give Aunt Agatha's Home for Wayward Rabbits a 5 out of 10. It's an okay book. Like, Keith Giffen, he's a good writer. And Benjamin Roman, he's a good artist. But just that back half where it just goes like basically all black, I was just like, what are you doing? Now on to another series that just wrapped up, Blackbird. Or I think it's going to continue, but it's finished up with its first story arc. And I think the book is going to see if it's going to continue on, if it has an audience for it. Blackbird is written by Sam Humphries and art by Jen Bertel. Jen Bertel's art is amazing. Her colors are whoever the colorist on here with the neons is just beautiful. I have been purchasing this book on the basis of I just enjoy the art that much. But the story, and especially our main character, is some of the weakest parts of this book. Blackbird tells a story of a girl who had an event in her early life where she found out that magic does exist. And she's gone on throughout life after that event, trying to find the truth to magic and proving to everyone else that magic does exist. And come to find out, it does, and she's now going to go up against the Queen and trying to prove everything that she believed in was not a lie. And the book as a whole is really bogged down by, sadly, by Sam Humphries. Sam Humphries had a really great idea, I felt like, with the first issue. But after that, when we got to dive into our main character, I felt that she was a little bit bipolar at times. Sometimes I would really like her. The other times she was at times it seems like she had more of this FU attitude and not being a part of what is in the now, or just she was her own person. But then at times she would be all about things and all about she cared too much about people or what people thought. But then at other moments she's just like F you. And so I really couldn't get a sense of who the character actually truly was. So that has been the biggest downfall of this book. But Jen Bartel's art is really, really good. And the coloring is just really beautiful. So that of itself has made me say, I'm going to keep reading Blackbird just for that. And hopefully the story does get a little bit better. And Sam Humphries kind of finds out what he wants to tell with this character. So Blackbird, issue number 6. It will get a 5 out of 10. Just because of how good Jen Bartel's art is. And then Mark Millar with Prodigy, issue number, I think this is issue number 4? Yeah, issue number 4. Prodigy is the story of this guy who's like the greatest of all time. He is so above everybody else, and he's so much smarter, and he's on the Indiana Jones basically adventure throughout this issue. He is, I can't remember the big scale end game for this book, or the main thing that's got him on this big old adventure, but he has gone and he is trying to get the money to give to ISIS. So hopefully then he can get into and see this cave that will give him some information about this incoming doom that's supposed to be happening. The art in here is okay. The writing by Mark Millar, and you definitely tell that Mark Millar has kind of, with his new deal with Netflix, where every single thing that's now in the next, or the Millar universe, is owned by Netflix, and you definitely tell that he's just throwing out all these ideas and seeing if they stick. Prodigy, I don't know if it was one of those books that's going to stick. Just, it seems like the character and the whole entire point of the book doesn't seem as well thought out as it could be. There is a point in here where you get to see inside Prodigy's mind, and he has all these other hymns focusing on all these different things that he is thinking up. And he, in the middle of that, he finds out that there's an incoming asteroid that's going to hit. And so he has decided to put all of his thoughts into that and trying to figure out, which NASA said that in like 70 years this asteroid's going to hit, but no, their calculation is wrong, and it's going to happen in 4 years. And then there are some great action scenes, or over-the-top action scenes, I should say, where you have our guy, as you see, jumping out of a plane to go and strap himself onto a incoming nuke that's going to hit this group of ISIS people. And he goes and diffuses the bomb, and the book is so over the top that it definitely has Mark Millar's over the topness there, but it definitely has like a PG-13 Millar to it. The art's okay, the writing's okay. I just feel like that the book as a whole is not as well thought out as Mark Millar wants it to be. Now I'm getting on to the books that I really enjoy, or I've enjoyed. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, issue number 4. I love this cover. This cover is so nice. So, I remember from the TV show, I don't think anybody else besides Buffy's crew knew about vampires. Well, come to find out, it seems like everybody in this town knows about vampires, because our main vampire crew, they went and to this shop, and the shop has a whole bunch of magical things to it, and they open up this vase, and out pops this bat-like character. And come to find out that this bat-like character is a partner for the Vampire Slayer, and basically is like the Vampire Slayer's version of Pegasus. And the vampire, or the bat thing, is going all around town, and everybody sees it but doesn't react like, oh my god, what is that? It seems like they've seen this stuff before. And one of our characters that's not part of Buffy's group basically goes and fights this bat thing like it's every single day she sees it. So, and it was just like, okay, I'm definitely not, from what I remember, into that TV series Buffy universe. There is this really awesome moment where Buffy's main sidekicks, they come in to help her out, and it felt really like, I was like, yeah, all right, this is what I want to see. As a whole, this book is good. It's really entertaining. The character of Buffy is definitely at the young stage of Buffy, but I really do enjoy her. Now on to another really good series by Image, The Freeze, issue number 4. The Freeze, I think, could, if it keeps on this path, it could be the next Walking Dead for a television series. I think the idea of this book is that at one moment, everybody on Earth froze, except for our one guy, who the moment he touches them, they become unfrozen. There's a moment in the series where he touches this one lady who's pregnant. She comes unfrozen, but her baby that's inside of her is still frozen, and she has a miscarriage because of it. And so we see that there's we see our character who's just like, okay, I have this power, but I don't want everyone to, like, break out in panic, I need to go and make sure who I revive or unfreeze can fit a situation to help me out and to help out this whole entire situation instead of causing mass panic. So he selected a couple, and then he needed somebody to help with the electric grid, so he gets people for that. And we have a book that then jumps in like a year or so into this thing, and it really has the feel of a character developments from like a comic like The Walking Dead, where you're introduced into these characters, and it's not more about the situation at hand, but more about the inner workings of this group of characters. And so in this issue, somebody goes and kidnaps our main guy, and because they don't think that this they believe that he is that God has chosen him to basically restart all of the world. And they don't think that he's doing a good enough job because he almost revived a person that molested children in his past. And he almost revived him, but he didn't. And they thought because of that moment, we can't have this. So we got to stop it before he does anything and revives somebody that's going to be a big mistake. And then throughout that whole entire thing, we've had people who are frozen being found mutilated and their chest open and their heart taken out. And so there's all these inner workings that just it really brings the comic home to me, where it's just like, this is a book that feels to me like it is fully developed, and it has a fully developed idea, and the execution has been really strong. I haven't heard anybody talking about this book, and it's a shame because this book is really good. And new number 1, The Goon. This is my first time into The Goon. I heard about how good his original series was back in 1999. And so I decided I'm going to give this new number 1 a try. I'm glad I did. There's times in here where there's things mentioned about in the past adventures with the Goon, and a lot of this first issue is a lot of backtracking or trying to get you established to where the Goon is in his life at this very moment, and how he's back into his main town where he first, as I take it, he first had his first adventures fighting all these undead people and whatnot. And so he goes back to this hometown, and my favorite part of the series, or this issue, is where this weird, strange guy comes into play, and he's like, all right, I hear that he's basically a realtor for the damned, and he's like, all right, I can get you a cheap place for you to stay at. So he's showing him all these places that have a death curse on them, and it was some really fun times with those sequences. The action scenes in here are really good. The art in here is really strong. The coloring is very moody, and it's the Goon. If this is the style of the Goon from previously, I'm gonna try to go and find myself some other issues of the Goon, because I really enjoyed it. I felt like the characters felt fully formed, and it does a good job at kind of establishing where we are at this very moment for new readers like me. So the Goon gets a 6 out of 10. It's a good starting point, and I can't wait to see where it goes from there. Now we're on to the 7 out of 10 books, and The House of Whispers. This has been the weakest out of the whole entire Sandman universe book line up until this point. Dan Waters, who's the writer of Lucifer, has come on to help Nalo Hopkins figure out how to write for comics, because Nalo, I believe is a she. She has written a whole bunch of books, but she's never written a comic book, and you definitely tell that her pacing and her storytelling was not good for the medium of comics, and it was very much a slow burn. It was not great to read up until this point. And there is one moment that just really won me over. There's a moment in there where all of a sudden we're in this horror nightmare, and all the animals have human eyeballs, and they're all just bulging out of, like, we get to see little hamsters, and their eyes are just bulging out, and all of a sudden humans decide, I like eating eyeballs. So you got the vegans being like, oh no, this is gross and grotesque, but everyone else in the world is going to like fast food chains that just specifically cater to eyes, and eventually they're starting eating human eyes, and it's really, really disgusting. And I was just like, oh my god, this book has got really awesome. And then you get the whole entire elements between our main cast of characters who are in the House of Whispers, which is this boat, and that part seems like it's starting to get stronger. But that whole entire dream sequence where you got to meet a new character who goes into people's nightmares and creates nightmares, it was some horrifying things, and it was just such a good breath of fresh air. Now on to one of my favorite series of the year, Murder Falcon, issue number 6. The thing about Murder Falcon is that it is horrible at its main villain. The main villains are just some basically faceless people, faceless monsters that you can do without. The thing that I love about this book, and the main thing about this book that I could definitely tell that the writer has gone after, he's talking about our main character. We as the series was progressing, we found out that it wasn't his girlfriend who had cancer, but it was him, and he pulled her away, pulled all of his friends. He was just so sick, and he didn't want his friends to deal with that, so he pushed them all away. And now that he's come back and he's healthy again, he's trying to deal with the ramifications of that and saying, should I just let them go? Or should I fight and get back to normal, or get back to my life? Or do I let the sickness, even though I am in remission, should I let it define me? And so the story has been about him. I love the moments with him and his girlfriend, or his ex-girlfriend, or no, it's his ex-wife, and how them and her talking to one of our main new guys, talking about how when they never talk about in sickness, it's like, you know what's going to happen with the person that's sick, but what about the person that is trying to comfort and be there for the sick person? There's no booklet for that. With her, she had no support herself, so she felt like she was drowning, and our main character definitely felt that, so he pushed her away, not wanting her to deal with the sickness. So it has a lot to do with the human emotions, and with me working in the medical field, I could definitely see this, where you see it with people that are sick and they push people away, and the families or the family and friends are just like, why? And this book is really focusing in on that, and it's some beautiful, beautiful stuff. Now, 3, 4, I'm on my top 5 books here. These ones were the best of the week. Gunning for Hits, the music thriller, issue number 3. This series continues to be really, really good. We have our this series takes a look at the music industry back in the 90s, back in this heyday where the music industry was so much more powerful than what it is today. And we have our man who goes and signs new bands, and he has found this up-and-coming band who he has given a ridiculous amount of money to. And with this new band are basically a person that's what's his name? David Bowie. Basically, a David Bowie character comes in and is like, "Hey, I want to be on your I want to sign with you, and you'll get my whole entire catalog, and you'll give me, basically, because of this new band, I'll get new inspiration from them, and I'll create a new CD that will be, getting you so much money because basically I am David Bowie. And all of it's a ploy to get this new band. And it's a lot of moving pieces throughout the series or throughout this issue. And the thing I like about this book is that it changes up the artwork quite a bit at different times, where you definitely tell it's going for a more anime look. And each and every page, you really don't know what you're going to expect. But with that being said, there were some times where I felt like that the art was maybe not as strong as previous pages. You can definitely tell that the artist at times was rushing. But the story and all the moving parts and everything you get with this book, it feels like you get more than an average comic. This writer is definitely not... he's putting in so much content in there. And it will take you a little bit to read, which is quite a great thing. Because I watched a video Sleep Reader where he was timing himself and seeing how much an average comic would take for him to read. And I feel like with this one, you get so much content in there and so much creativity that the medium of comics is really beneficial with this story. So Guiding for Hits, it's just a tremendous book. And the only Marvel book that I picked up for the March 13th was Winter Soldier. Kyle Higgins, he's such a good writer. I remember when he was doing Nightwing and it was okay, but it seems like he's just gotten better and better and better over the time. And the storyline is that Bucky has gone with Peggy Carter, and I think it's Peggy, but he has gone with Captain America's girlfriend, and they have now created this this group that goes, and if you want to get out of, let's say, Hive, and you have no way out, Bucky will find you a new secret or a new identity and basically a brand new start. And all of a sudden, this kid comes into his life dressed up just like Bucky did back in the World War II, and it's been really about him mentoring this kid. And now that this kid's father's into the picture, this whole entire issue is just really focusing in on the family dynamic of this deadbeat dad and the new father figure being like, hey, you're a bum, you have no you're just going to destroy everything that is good about this kid. So some really good family dynamics in here, really beautiful art by Rod Reyes. So the art's strong, the character development seems strong. It's just all around a really good book. Now on to The Empty Man. The Empty Man by Colin Bunn. I think this is my favorite Colin Bunn book that he's doing at this very moment. Because he's doing so many different horror books, but this one feels so good. The Empty Man has been affecting a whole bunch of people throughout the world, and they all do it, and they all like murder, mutilate themselves, all in the name of the Empty Man. Now this cult has come, and they find that this family, specifically the mother, has something special about her, so they're trying to get to her, and all the time they're on the run. And you get to see in this issue the Empty Man really messing with things and messing with the family dynamic, and the art at times is so distorted and it's just so beautiful that it's just like, wow, this is such a great series. The Empty Man is a book that you definitely need to go out and find, because it's just that damn good. Now on to John Layman's Afu Chan's Outer Darkness, issue number 5. This series has been a deconstruction of the Star Trek tropes or sci-fi in general. But this issue is just possibly my favorite of the series up to this point. Each and every issue is its own self-contained story. And our crew have been basically shot down. They're on this icy planet, and all hell has broken loose. There is times in here where people are betraying one another. You got power struggle, and all around you it's just all this chaos. And it's just so damn good. It's such a fast read because you're so into the story and into these characters. Yes, there are a lot of characters in here, but it seems like to me, each character is getting a little bit of time to shine with each and every issue. So, do yourself a favor. Go out and find Outer Darkness. It's really strong series. Like the first issue, I had a lot of negative things about it. I felt like the characters were unlikable. I felt like the whole entire situation was very cliched. And then come find out that that's what John Layman was going for with this series. And then after issue number 1, where it kind of puts different pieces in play, it feels like all the pieces are coming together. It's just really good writing. Really good writing. Now onto my favorite book of the week. My pick of the week for March 13th. Little Bird, issue number 1 by Image Comics. Just look at this cover. This cover is gorgeous. The story is that our main character, or a family in Canada, there's a war about to happen between them and some crazy people from the United States that are going to come in and destroy their land. And so this mother tells her daughter, go into this bunker and stay out, stay away. She comes out after about 3 days and sees that her land is just destroyed. And it was heartbreaking. So she is such a survivor. You definitely tell that her mother has trained her to survive in the wilderness. And she goes to go and break out this one warrior. And the outcome is just sad. Really sad. But the world that's built around this issue feels so strong. The artwork in here is breathtaking. And I just heard from that this series is never going to be put into trade paperback, but it's going to be in a big hardcover. And this will be the cheapest way to pick up the series. But damn, I am in love. When this series comes out into a big old hardcover, I'm going to pick it up. Because the characters in here feel so strong. The world in here feels so strong that I think I've fallen in love. I do. Little Bird, it's just brilliant. So if I had to recommend any books for you to pick out, it would be Buffy, The Goon, The Freeze, and all the other books I just talked about. And I know that at the beginning I was kind of talking down about some books, but that's what happens when you pick out so many different independent books and you want to give them all a try and see where they go. And I get a kick out of every single issue. I never know what type of place I'm going to be. But with Marvel and DC books, 9 times out of 10, you know exactly what world you're going to be in. And it all sometimes feel the same. But in the indie sides, every single book is such a different experience. So that's going to be it for this week. This was a really beautiful week. I'm hoping to get more, hopefully get out another issue or another episode on Friday, which should be amazing. So my name is David Lee. This is Too Many Comics on My Comic Life channel. I'll see you guys next time on My Comic Life.